Hi, I'm Dee Dee, and as you can see, I am without Randy today. And I am here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center, and I'm going to be showing you some adoptable pets that are available on Rosemont Avenue at your shelter. And our first guest is Katara. And Katara is a female brown tabby, about 3 months old, and she is a graduate of our foster care program. She came into the shelter on June 25th, and she was placed in foster care because she was too tiny to be spayed at that time. And then she came back to the shelter with her brother to be adopted, and her brother has already been adopted. Now you'll find out when you come to the shelter that we color code our cats, as I've often said, so that you can tell which cats might match the kind of pet you want to have for your family. So she is color-coded orange, which is middle of the road, and I happen to know that in her foster home, she lived with dogs, with little kids, with other cats. So she has had experiences of doing all kinds of things you might want her to know. And that rambunctious noise that you can hear in the background is important for you to know. It is a litter of kittens in a 3-row of stainless steel cages, and they are just jumping everywhere. Knocking over their bowls, knocking over their hammocks. So that is one of the things to think about if you want to get a young kitten. Yes, Katara is being very good for the camera and very helpful to me, not smacking my hair or doing any of the things that kittens often do. But it's important to know if you want to get a young one that you have to be up for the supervision level that little tiny kittens need, and be able to play with them enough that they get the exercise that they need. So she is named after some TV character, which I'm sure many of you who have kids know about. And whenever you adopt a kitten, you are absolutely free to change their names. They don't mind at all. If they're used to their name, we can tell you how to do it pretty seamlessly. And as you can see, Katara is going to make somebody a great family pet because she's had experience with all the things you might want her to know. And she is just the right age to bring into your home as a baby and have her accept whatever you have to offer. Our next guest is Nosey, and she'll look at the camera in a minute. She is a 4-month-old kitten who is also available at the animal shelter for adoption. And for those of you who don't know, we spay and neuter, we microchip, we vaccinate, we give you a coupon for your first vet visit that includes a rabies shot, and we will sit down with you before you take your kitten home and give you a lot of information about how to make it easy. And what that includes is we recommend keeping new cats in the bathroom for a week, and oftentimes people say to that, in the bathroom, that sounds crazy. But it's pretty important to the cat because cats are preyed upon by larger animals. They worry when they go to a new place that there may be predators there, that there may not be sufficient food, that establishing a new territory is pretty tricky for cats. So by letting them be in the bathroom, you allow them to have a tiny little space they can control and get to know and feel secure in. Of course, you're going to go in there several times a day and play with the kitten. So the kitten's going to associate you with affection and feeding and playtime, and there'll be a great bonding process that takes place during that week. And at the end of that week, when you let the kitten out to explore your house, then you will find that they come to you if they're worried, and they already are aware that you're their safe place and that you are the source of all good things. So it also helps you in the training process so that you will be able to shoo the kitten off the dining room table or scoop him up if he does something that's a little risky, and he won't be afraid of you because he's already got all that information from a week of growing to trust you. Nosey was found in Emmitsburg, and obviously she's familiar with people, as you can tell by her attitude. And that makes a big difference to us too, because we get quite a number of cats in the animal shelter that are difficult to handle, because they're not used to people and they view us as those predators that I told you they worry about. So we are not always able to find homes for those kittens and cats. And what helps us out is that we have these great volunteer groups in Frederick County who will spay and neuter those cats, vaccinate them for rabies, and help them find barn homes where they can live kind of on the fringes of human care. So they're still getting shelter and food on a regular basis and vet care if needed, but that they can live out their life as, you know, semi-wild. It's tricky because in Frederick County, you are required to keep any cats that you own on your property. So what you can do when you have a barn cat, depending on how you situate the cat, is have these ladies, it's the Animal Welfare League and Tip Me Frederick and some other groups that are very expert in helping you teach your cat how to stay at home. And I have successfully done it at my barn. I was given an orange tabby cat who did not want to be handled. And it was really a great process and a great experience. And she's turned out to be a lovely companion at the barn. She loves the horses. She comes when we call her. She never misses a feeding. So we know that she's sticking around and that we can be in compliance with the rules to keep her at home. This little girl, however, is not going to need any kind of training to like people because she is already sold. Our next guest is Wilson, and as you can see, Wilson is about the same age as these other two kitties. Cats that are born in Frederick to mother cats are usually born around tax time, and between April and October we get over 1,000 kittens every year. And Wilson has an interesting story. He came to us June 27th. He was trapped as a little wild kitten, but as you can see, it didn't take very long to find out that he is quite the sweetheart. So he does love to be held. We have color-coded him green just because he was trapped, but he has a lovely personality and accepts all kinds of handling. So one of the things you should know about trapping cats is that people often, I'm making this really hard for our videographer Richard because Randy's not here, so the kitten's moving all around. But what you should know about trapping cats is that if you have a nuisance cat in your neighborhood, then we would certainly like to help you find out who the cat belongs to, as well as finding a home for the cat if he needs it. But the first part of taking care of that is to get a hold of the cat. So sometimes cats will have a microchip or a mark on their neck that says they've been wearing a collar, and that makes it much more likely that we're going to find their owner. But out of the 10 cats we get, out of every 10 cats we get who are stray, meaning coming in without a known owner, less than 2 of those are reclaimed. So it's a real challenge for us to find the owners of cats, even when we're pretty sure they're owned. In this little guy's case, he was young enough and away from his mom enough that it's possible that even if his mother is owned, that the owners either couldn't find this kitten or didn't know she had kittens. She could have been a barn cat. So because 80 to 90% of pet cats are spayed and neutered, it is possible that his mother didn't have an owner. But he clearly thinks an owner is a great idea. So he is available for adoption. And a beautiful gray tabby at that. He's going to make somebody a really great pet. And if you do have a nuisance cat problem, then call us and we'll tell you how to get involved in trapping. But understand that when you trap cats that we can't handle, there's very few outcomes for them unless we can get them into one of the rescue programs that I mentioned earlier. And we definitely try to do that. Those groups have saved over 400 animals in the last year, so that is a big help. And you might think that that means we are down to no euthanasias because that's a huge number, but since we get 5,000 animals a year, we are still not at the point where we are not euthanizing dangerous animals and animals with health problems and animals with behavior problems. Look at the camera. So we can definitely use all the help we can get, and keeping cats in their homes is a big part of that. Our next guest is Buddy, and Buddy is a beautiful orange tabby who's been hanging out on Ashley Court for a couple of years. And of course, most of the neighbors thought that Buddy had a family. because he's very well fed and he's a beautiful cat and friendly to people. So mostly everyone figured that someone was taking care of him. It took a little while for neighbors to talk and realize that in fact no one was claiming Buddy to be their own. So he's here looking for a home where he can settle in and become a permanent resident. We think he's about 3, and he is neutered, and he'll be vaccinated and given that same start at the vets that you heard the other kittens get, where you get a checkup and a rabies shot. Now, when we say that your first vet visit is free, we offer cats that are vaccinated and microchipped, spayed and neutered with a coupon to get a rabies shot and a checkup. But there are a lot of things you're going to want to do for your cat in addition to that over time. And that means that you're going to want to talk to your vet about whether your cat's going to go inside or outside, understanding that if your cat goes outside, you need to have keep him on your property. And ID on your cat. Please have ID on your cat. And then you're going to want to talk to your vet about whether your cat's going to need to have feline leukemia shots, whether your cat is going to need to have any other kinds of testing, because I can tell you that allowing your cat outside is not as simple as just opening the door and having the cat come in for dinner. It's very dangerous for cats outside. Number one, they can end up at the shelter, and if they are scared or think they're at the vet, they may not be able to get a new home. But number two, the dangers outside include other cats. Bites from other cats can be quite serious. Animals that carry rabies. We've had 7 or more cats test positive in the last year for rabies, so that is a concern. And definitely life or death, not just for your cat, but they can expose your family. And then you also have the risk of cars, getting lost, someone else adopting your cat and you never finding out. Come here, sweetie. But the risks of a cat going outside are so great that it might be a good idea to decide to have an indoor-only cat, and we can certainly help you figure out how to do that. And as you can see, this little guy is already thinking about, even though he came from outside, he's quite happy to have his food brought to him a couple times a day, and someone give him some affection and company and toys, and I think he will settle right in, especially after a winter like we just had. Knowing that he was outside for all of that makes it very likely that he would decide to choose a different kind of life. Our next guest is Smokey, and Smokey is a year-old male kitty who is probably what we like to call a social eater. These kitties will eat their canned food right away, but until they have company, someone paying attention to them, they're not interested in eating their dry cereal. And cats eat when they feel good, and since company makes him feel good, it makes him feel like having snacks. So sorry for his back to you, but he's quite a beautiful cat. And sometimes people wonder when we have cats in these small cages. Smokey does have a double cage. He has 2 rooms this size, and he's quite the big boy. They worry about how the cat feels being in a small space. And the reason that I recommended putting cats in the bathroom when you move them to a new place is because they actually feel more secure if they are surrounded and can control the space that they're in. So they do very well, and as you just saw Buddy jump back into his cage, even though he had the choice to run away, it lets you know that even though people would not feel good being closed up in a door that they can't open, and I do believe that sometimes cats wish they could open it when they want to, you have to think of it more like being in a hotel. So when you go to a strange place, you definitely like to have a hotel room where you can put all your stuff, where you can order food, and where you can sleep safely. And the cats do feel the same way about that. Obviously, they're going to be much happier when they have a home where they can walk around. But in the meantime, for a cat, it's not too bad to have a little hotel room where everything is taken care of. So if you think that Buddy would make a good match for you or someone that you know, please come in and meet him or share his picture around on social networking. We do a lot to try to get these guys adopted, from TV to radio to newspaper to anything we can do to get the word out. But what you all do at home really helps, because our Facebook page Pet Finder and Pet Tango offer detailed information about the cats that can help people who don't stop by the shelter or even may not even know what the shelter has available can find out about these guys. And making all the matches we can means more animals find homes, which is exactly what we're here for. So we're going to take a short break and bring you some county information, and then we're going to be back with more Pet Pals, and I hope you stick with us.
This is a Frederick County special report. The great city of Frederick is one of many facing a grave and dire threat.
Golly gee willikers!
You said it, mister. Every day, the average American generates 4.5 pounds of waste. These vast amounts of refuge threaten to clog our waterways, overflow our landfills, and bring harm to our wildlife.
Well, what can we do to help reduce our waste?
By recycling. Place your recyclables in the bin. Then place on the carbon collection day. It's just that easy.
I want to know more.
More information is available at www.learnmorerecyclebetter.com. You can make tomorrow a better and cleaner place.
Are you looking for that perfect spot for your child's next birthday party? Look no farther. Frederick County Parks and Recreation can fulfill all your birthday party needs. Choose from any of our rec center locations. Your party rental includes tables, chairs, paper products, on-site facility supervisor, and much more. Pricing for our parties is $120 for 2 hours in our rec room or $170 for 2 hours in our rec room and gymnasium. For more information and availability, call 301-600-2936 or visit us on the web at www.recreator.com.
The Red Cross encourages everyone to be as prepared as you possibly can for potential disasters and other emergencies. Follow these steps to be better prepared. Learn what emergencies or disasters are most likely to occur in our community. Have a family disaster plan and practice it. Put together an emergency preparedness kit, one for your home, one for your car. At least one member of your household should be trained in first aid and CPR. For additional information and mobile apps for your cell phone or iPad, visit www.redcross.org.
Live with a human for a while and you get to know a few things. Like, I know she's actually not a morning person. I know she does strange tricks for no treats. I know that water makes her howl like crazy. I even know how the floor stays so clean. She's quick. But the one thing I will never for the life of me know is how she gets so tiny and inside that box. Natalie, how do you get so tiny?
Welcome back to Pet Pals. We have more cats for you to meet by way of television to see if you can either fall in love with one for your very own, or if you have a friend who's looking, you can pass their picture along from Pet Finder or Pet Tango and help us find a match. Amber has something to say. And she was a stray found in Middletown. She's about a year old and she's already been a mama. And we often have cats come in this time of year who have kittens. And since 80 to 90% of pet cats are spayed and neutered, as we mentioned in our previous segment, then it is likely that she's loosely owned. And because she's a year old, it's possible that she was a kitten herself very short time ago and just never found her own home where she could permanently go to stay, where someone could get her spayed and neutered. But now that she's here at the shelter, all of that's going to happen for her. And Amber, we made up the name, so she would be fine if you want to change that. But she's a very beautiful cat and deserving of some exotic name. And she is going to make somebody a really great pet. She's easy to handle. We've color-coded her orange, which is middle of the road. And I know. And she's a little bit of a talker. And some people like that. Cats don't meow at each other very much. They meow at people. So the little kitten off to my shoulder is crying because she knows I have these keys, which means I could get her out. It does not take very long for the cats in the shelter to learn that the people who wear the necklaces with the keys are able to open the cages and feed them, and they very quickly become affectionate with us. And the noise you hear is still those kittens. I'm telling you, that litter of kittens is just full of pepper this morning. And so if you are interested in this beautiful cat, Amber, then please come by the shelter and meet her and see what you think. She's looking in our dish room right now, seeing what activity is going on. And that will give her something to think about while I hold her for you to view, because she is quite the pretty thing. You're a good girl. I know. Our next guest is Jasmine, and Jasmine is just a beautiful and very sweet cat. She is not a stray. She was owned by a family for about a year, and they are moving to a place where they're not able to keep her. And that is often something that people judge harshly when they say, you know, I would never give up my cat. But oftentimes when people say they're moving, what they mean is that they're moving in with family after losing a home, or that they're moving to an apartment that they don't have a lot of control over anything but cost, and a lot of apartments don't allow you to have pets. There's also the possibility of moving to a nursing home where you can't bring your pet, and also the possibility of taking in a family member who's allergic. So a lot of people have their parents or an adult child move back in with them during the economic situation that exists right now for a lot of people, where jobs are limited and people have to get help from their families. So not everyone can make decisions about their housing that will allow them to keep their pet. So Jasmine is here looking for another home, and as you can see, not only is she beautiful, but she's very, very sweet, and she wants to come out. She's gonna make someone a very lovely pet. Sometimes people worry that long-haired cats shed more than short-haired cats, and that's simply not true. The shedding is the same no matter the length of the hair, and it is related to the amount of light there is during the day. So spring and fall are times of change and times when cats shed, no matter their length of hair. One thing you do have to know about long-haired cats is that as they age, sometimes they need help being brushed. So brushing her around her neck and the back of her tail would help her keep from getting tangled hair, and as you can see, she wouldn't mind at all. And our next guest is Prim. Prim is of a litter of many, and her other siblings have already been adopted. She is very pretty. She's what's called a dilute calico or dilute tortoiseshell. And in her case, she would be called calico because of her large patches of coloring instead of having them swirled together. A lot of times people really like this color. It's usually a girl. 1 in 300 is a boy, but it's pretty uncommon. And she came from our foster program as well. So this little kitten was color-coded green, and part of that is because she is playful. But we also can't say for guaranteed how a cat's future personality is going to form. What we try to do is just give you a good guess, and one of the things we base it on is how they behave during medical exams, how they behave during the cleaning of their cage. And I can tell you right now, she's purring and relaxed. She does want to play, which most kittens do. And that is part of taking a kitten home. You have to be ready for them to climb up on top of your bookcase and knock some things over, and teaching them what kind of activity level that you want in your house. And you know, this is when I miss Randy the most, when I am trying to make her look her best, pay attention to you, and get the word out about what a sweetie she is. She is right now looking at beautiful Jasmine, who you just met, thinking about bothering her in some way, and as all kittens are. She's just as cute as she can be, curious about everything. And one of the things that you might have noticed when I was petting Jasmine, and the same thing will happen to this kitten as she ages, But when we scratch kittens here, their temporal lobes and their little chin glands, cats mark things that are prominent in their territory with scents. And they do that by rubbing on them, as you all know. But why that is important to know is when we rub the cats where they would rub on things, they release feel-good hormones. Oxytocin is one. It also affects their ability to sense serotonin, and all that is science talk for petting them makes them feel good. But here's the thing people don't always know. We release the exact same chemicals in our brains and bodies when we're petting them. So animals make us feel good as well. That is why animal-assisted therapy works for kids. That's why there are a lot of veterans programs that involve taking care of and working with animals, because there really is a mutual feedback system of good feelings from handling animals. So I highly recommend, even if you're not thinking of adopting, consider volunteering. So you can do this on a regular basis. It's good for you and it's good for the kitties. And our last guest of this episode is Cheddar. And Cheddar is a beautiful red tabby male with medium hair. He's kind of fluffier than the average kitten. And while our medical staff is paged, I'll give you a minute to see how absolutely adorable he is. Cheddar was also here with his litter mates. And when we have the kittens in, in their cages, it's a little bit hard for you to film, but we're going to show you in a minute that he has toys and multiple bowls in his litter box and many things to do in there. But of course, he wants to come out and he would love to run around on the floor. We have to be a little careful with the kittens. Although they are vaccinated, they don't have their adult immunities. So, and we use hand sanitizer in between each little cat that I'm showing you. But as you can see, I haven't changed my shirt. So we do have to be careful that we're passing germs between our kitties. And if one of them on this wall had a cold, then it would be very possible for them to spread it to each other. With this little kitten, we have color-coded him orange because he's quite the normal boy. But as you can see, as the morning goes on, we've gone from the shelter opening and the kitten's getting fed. He's purring up a storm. I'm going to try to let you hear that, if you can hear that. Yes. But after they've eaten and taken a nap, then you're going to see this in all of them. And I'm sure you can hear Prim now meowing off camera. They now want to do stuff. So now is the time when the shelter normally opens and our volunteers start coming in, and they'll play with them and brush them and get them fresh toys. And our kennel techs have just finished all the cleaning and refeeding and all of the things they need to have a good day. But it's a lot of work. Sometimes we have over 200 animals in the shelter, and we just have 4 animal care staff in a day. So they have to share the work of having 200 pets. Imagine if you and your family of 4 had 200 animals. It'd pretty much be a 12-hour-a-day job, which it is here. And this little guy is ready to put on a show for you. So if you have seen any animals today that you would like to sponsor by passing their pictures from Pet Finder or this episode of Pet Pals around on your social networking, please do that. If you would like to print their Pet Finder profile, and put it up at your office, that helps us out too. And anything that you can do to get the word out. If you want to volunteer, call us. We'll get you in touch with Sean so you can come to a training. And yes, that's the microphone. And we really appreciate you joining us on Pet Pals and passing the word around about all these little guys, because they really need new places to live so that we can help some more animals. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center on Rosemont Avenue.